through our county extension offices and into our communities. Our mission is to provide resources to enhance and sustain quality of life. IFAS extension offices are in each of Florida's 67 counties. That includes 12 research centers and education centers, research and demonstration sites, and several offices located through the state. In these offices, there are faculty members that are specialized in an area. Mine is family and consumer science. During disaster preparedness, before, in the middle, and after, we are activated for the Emergency Operations Center in every county to work with the community where we reside. So yes, I'm called to the emergency operations centers when disasters occur in this county, and with storms, I have been in more than 4 opportunities working with them and the community. What we see after the storm was passed, one of the first thing, and many people sadly in Texas just saw as well, is flooded roads, flooded ways, houses, communities. Flooded roads are very dangerous. It can be difficult to judge how deep or swift the water is moving. Just 12 inches of water can flood a car. Never drive through flooded roads, even if you are seeking supplies or trying to check on someone. Floods can also compromise bridges and roads. Avoid flooded river areas as they can continue to rise long after the storm passes. Don't walk in floodwater either. They can contain harmful bacteria, chemicals, sharp objects, and dangerous animals. A few things that we have seen is a lot of kids right now going to kayaking, and individuals as well. Another of the dangers that remain after the sky turn blue, this is not the time to put your guard down. Nearly half of the hurricane fatalities occur after the storm, and people is not aware of that. If you evacuated, only return home when you are told to do so. Return home only when officials say it is safe. Check with local officials both where you are staying and back home before you travel. Something that we have seen with the latest storms, like last year, Helene and Milton, is new neighborhoods, new developments has been flooding for the amount of rain that has poured in certain communities. Neighborhoods that before never have flooding now are flooding, and for other options as well that could be to local level. Something that we see is structural damage. Be careful near damaged buildings, homes. Walk carefully around the outside of your home to check for loose power lines, gas leaks, structural damage, including dangerous debris such as nails or glass. Leave your home if there are shifting or unusual noises. If you smell gas, get outdoors and immediately call 911. Let your local officials know if any damage you might have, what immediate assistance you might need. Local officials and voluntary organizations in your county are usually the best options for immediate needs such as food and shelter. If you have insurance, contact your insurance agent to file a claim. Make sure to document all your damages before you clean up. Take photos, make a list, you can make a video, save all your receipts for post-damage repair and cleanup. If you have insurance and damages, you must file a claim with your insurance company. Something that we are using, and a lot of people are using during and past the storm, are generators. Practice portable generator safety. Last week, Dr. Lindsay talked about this one. I want to reiterate because we have so many incidents with individuals that are using those. Never operate a generator in an enclosed space. Make sure the generator has 3 to 4 feet of clear space above and on all sides for proper ventilation. Like the picture that you see here, the generator doesn't have proper ventilation in that side. Be always direct the exhaust away from your home. Be very careful with portable generators. Carbon monoxide poison is one of the leading causes of death in areas dealing with power outages. Never use a generator inside your home or garage, even if doors or windows are open. It's not safe. Only use generators outside, more than 20 feet away from your home doors and windows. Sadly, a lot of people take advantage of situations like this. That's happening in all the nation. So how we can avoid fraud? Gather a list of licensed and insured contractors. Ask for references. Check them out. Obtain grading estimates and get more than one estimate. It's suggested by Better Business Bureau at least have 3 to 4 estimates. Do not pay in full before work begins. Do not pay the final balance until work is complete and if you are satisfied. Do not pull permits for the contractor. You are not doing that. The contractor are the ones to pull the permits. Do not pay in cash. And if you suspect fraud, please contact the State Florida Consumer Fraud Hotline. The phone number appears here, 1-866-966-7226. As I mentioned before, during these occasions, a lot of people take advantage of individuals and sometimes see the needs of the more vulnerable population to take advantage of them. Something that we need to see is safety past the storm. Please continue monitoring all your local media. Check and avoid to use candles. A lot of people, when they lose electricity, is trying to use candles. Don't use those inside of your house. Use battery operated lighting. If you have damage in your backyard and you are going to start to clean up, be very careful when you are using the chainsaw. Always wear property safety equipment, long sleeve clothing, drink water very frequently when you are outside. It's required to drink water every 15 minutes with the high temperatures that we live here in Florida. And please call professionals to remove large uprooted trees. After the storm, if you live in a community that has an HOA, they are the ones that take this control and they call the companies and come. During the last storm, Hilton and Helene, we noticed some individuals in several counties here in Florida, they were charging a homeowner that they belong to a homeowners association between $8,000 and $10,000 to remove a tree from the property. Debris. Clean up safely. Don't push yourself and check on your neighbors. Stay hydrated, wear light loose-fit clothes, and clean up during cooler hours if it's possible. Don't push yourself. I repeat that. Straining of the body can lead to heart attacks, heat strokes, and other serious issues. Perform cleanups slowly, taking logs or breaks. Make sure to check on your elderly neighborhoods and other vulnerable people in your community. If your area is under heat advisory, use extreme caution and consider cleaning up when the heat has subsided. For this one, it's necessary as well that you are signed for the alert system in your county, and they send those heat advisories through text message that you're going to be receiving even sometimes when you are sleeping. But you are not notice when you wake up and see your phone number that is a heat advisory in your area, if you have, of course, power. How to stay safe? The FEMA organization has this very helpful PDF information that with information that we have provided during the 3 webinars in disaster preparedness has before the storm, during, and in after. One of the things they reinforce is when we are at home, one of the things that we need to keep closing the doors, and I mentioned that during the first webinar, is the doors of the refrigerator closed. If you lost temperature and the temperature is lower than 40 degrees Fahrenheit for more than 4 hours, that food is not good to consume. If you start to notice that the food that you have in the refrigerator has a different color, odor or texture, please throw those away to try to avoid food poisonings. A lot of individuals keep medicine refrigerator. If the outage in your area was for extended period of time, you need to contact your pharmacy and doctors to have a replenish of your medicine, the ones that you keep refrigerator. That is something that the pharmacy and your doctor wants to do very quickly. Please ask them what is the safety time to take or not. A lot of people and a lot of doctors say you cannot take that medicine. You need to have a new replacement. Something that we need to check is avoid electric shock by staying far away from downed power lines. Stay alert, they might be in the ground, hiding in water, or dangling overhead. That is something that you need to be watching for when the storm has passed. And if you have communications, please submit your address and information to the electrical company that is your provider in your area. They put those in the dashboard and start to see for the amount of calls that they're receiving, what are the most damaging areas they need to send technicians to start to working on this. It depends of the amounts of neighborhoods and individuals that are connected to the same power line. Emergency responders. Help and communications may not be ready available after a hurricane. Emergency responders may be overwhelmed because of the situation, and these individuals are the ones to receive the majority of stress during, in the middle, and after the storm. After the hurricane, be aware that it could take sometimes hours or days for them to reach your area. It depends on the damage that surrounds your house, your neighborhood, your area. Communication systems may be impacted, and making phone or video calls might be difficult due to network congestion. If possible, communicate via text is one of the most easy ways to communicate it, email or social media. Something that we need to see is how we react. After a disaster, it's common to experience physical behavior and emotional changes to everyone, not only for the adults, for the children as well. And sometimes the pets sense that stress as well in the household. These are possible feelings or changes that you may have after the disaster. It is common to experience these reactions in the days, weeks, and months following an event. That is normal. Anxiety or fear, overwhelming of sadness, anger, especially if the event involved violence. Visit the Coping with Anger After a Disaster page and download tips for survivors. Coping with anger after a disaster or other traumatic event for more information. Guilt even when you have no control over the traumatic event, that is normal. Disconnection, not caring about anything or anyone. Numbness or inability to feel either joy or sadness. Stomach aches or diarrhea. headaches, or other physical pains for no clear reason, jumpiness or being easily startled, trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, sleeping too much, or trouble relaxing. Any increase or decrease in your energy of activity levels, use or mixes of alcohol, tobacco, illegal drugs, or prescribed medication in an attempt to reduce distressing feelings or to forget. Outbursts of anger, feeling really irritated and blaming other people for everything. The desire to be alone most of the time, self-isolation, trouble remembering things, trouble thinking clearly and concentrating, difficulty talking about what happened or listening to others talk about it. That is normal. SAMHSA phone number here in the slide helps during this and is going to tell you what kind of steps you can follow up. The phone number 1-800-985-5990. In the community, start a impact that is multi-level, as you can see here. In addition, many different impacts can be felt from these disasters, including individual and family impacts for the ones that we are feeling, which in turn affect the overall community. Large economic impacts can be felt through infrastructure, housing impacts. Social and mental impacts can be seen in the community for years following disaster events. That is normal. And in these ones, you guys are going to see here things that sometimes we are not aware and we are not seeing or thinking that is happening. So yes, studying the individual, family, community, social, mental, environment, agriculture, and food security. The storms damage a lot of these and those producers and infrastructure in all around. There are two types of declarations provided by the Stafford Act, that is an emergency declaration and major disaster declaration. The type of declaration affects the assistance that might be available in the area. The president can declare a major disaster for any event that has caused damage beyond the combined response capabilities of state and local governments. So these are the two declarations. I want to show you the stats for FEMA and NOAA for 2024 in storms. There were a total for severe storms here of 46.38, and you guys going to see the percentage was 17% nationwide. The amount of money, you guys going to see that one, and they are separated for any disaster that occurs in all the United States. FEMA Disaster Recovery Center is activated. These are in all the states, and after the storm, due to the severity of in an area, they establish facilities and mobile offices in the areas for the survivors or for the people affected. Usually, these centers are when the people can go to apply for assistance, get status checks on your case, and get answers to resolve problems. These disaster centers usually open from 7 a.m. in the morning to 6 p.m. My office last year after the second storm was a commendable recovery center for FEMA, and they were here for over 1 month. The lines were very, very long because we have almost three back-to-back storms with only 2 weeks separation. Individual assistance. There are support systems for immediate response for an individual. The county starts to activate it, and needs like turf, waters, food supplies, sometimes MRIs packets are distributed in certain areas. The county provided information through the social media and through the alert systems that you guys had subscribed. There are FEMA as well have programs of help for survivors. Like individuals sometimes need to have a shelter because the damage were substantial in the home and they cannot stay there. They need help with home repairs and hazard mitigation. Those happen through these FEMA centers, and applications are online. Something I want to mention is we were noticed a lot of seniors last year were complaining that when we are submitting these requests, one of the requirements as the individual needs to be living in the county for over 6 months. Individuals that are snowbirds and live less than 6 months in a county cannot receive this kind of assistance programs. That is something that we notice a lot, and people, there are the requirements are in the website, and when you start to see the requirements, that is one of the biggest ones. You need to have living in that county minimum 6 months to apply for assistance. The county emergency management provide a foundational overview of the county's emergency support functions. These are called ESF, an outline of the comprehensive emergency management plan. ESF coordinate and align response to operations across different domains, assign lists and support roles to agencies or organizations. These functions can help streamline responsibilities and communication during emergencies. I'm showing you here in the screen the emergency support functions for my county, Manatee County. So we have here 20. In the first one, you guys are going to see the first one are activated transportation, public roads, communications, utilities, fire rescue, planning, mass care that include shelter, food, and emergency assistance, procurement that is all involved with logistics, supply distribution of food and water, health, fatality, and medical response. The other ones are energy, the 3 different companies that are here provided in this county: military, defense support and logistical coordination, public information, what information is providing to the individuals, volunteers and donations. There are established certains around the county, law enforcement, animal services, business and industry. Last year, the help for businesses, for the small businesses, the website for linking for these supplies stopped working until the 2nd week for the amount of applications they were receiving. Fuel, sometimes the county, when it's loss of power, they put certain areas around the county to fuel distribution, but they minimize the amount of fuel that is supplied per household. Cyber protection and recovery infrastructure. Something that the county does as well is start a debris recollection. This is announced through social media and to their pages and through the alert systems if you are signed up. Something that you need to be realized is everything that is in debris, you cannot put it together outside of your house, needs to be separated. What is going to be organic and non-organic, because there are 2 different recollections. And if you have not separated, when the county is doing this, they don't pick up that and it's going to be to the homeowner's expenses. This doesn't going to be quickly, like a lot of people start to say, oh, that has been outside for almost 2 weeks. We need to be conscious of the amount of individuals that live in our county, in our area, and it depends of the damage that our area suffers. This takes weeks, but everything is going to be taken it, and please be aware and have patience because they are doing that. Something I want to mention to you is resilience. Resilience is the collection of several adaptive systems to respond to an adverse event that happened to us after a storm or any kind of disaster. Disaster recovery and resilience involve strategies and frameworks that helps communities prepare for, respond to, recover from disaster while enhancing their ability to withstand future events. Understanding disaster recovery refers to the process of restoring a community organization to its pre-disaster stage or better. It encompasses various activities including immediate response, providing emergency assistance and support to affected individuals and communities, restoring of services, reestablishing essential services such as water, electricity, and healthcare, rebuilding infrastructure. This is repairing and reconstructing damaged buildings, roads, and other critical infrastructure. As a part of this resilience, as well is the ability to adapt, withstand, or rapidly recover for a disaster or catastrophic event. There are four primary sets of adaptive capacities, like I'm showing you here: economic development, social capital, information and communication, and community competence. These are all linked to a network that is adaptive to adaptation and adversity. It depends of the damage that the community suffers. Because of these ones, is something that activates and sometimes we don't see it. We that work with these organizations see behind the scenes. There's the linking capital. Community organizers utilize linking and bridging social capital between decision makers and communities to influence transformational change that endangers scalar social capital to create successful recovery outcomes that adequately represent the needs, values, and norms of communities. Community level leaders can serve as a bridge between communities and decision makers, generating effective outcomes that foster collaboration and reciprocity for the next storms. The resource that I use with you today, and I think so that Alba is going to provide those for you. I finished. If somebody has questions, feel free to ask the questions.
Okay, I drop the links with the resources and Nelly shared with us on the chat. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them on the chat, or if you want, you can take yourself off mute as well.
Yes. Something I want to mention is during recovery, the majority of nonprofit and profit and government organizations come together. They start to see the needs of the community, the areas that were more impacted, and the majority of these ones, when there is a 55 community of a mobile neighborhood, there are help that are dispersed to this area. The county does as well a canvas. That means county employees go to the neighbors and start to go door to door, asking the individuals in the neighborhoods about the needs and requires. They start to provide those to the individuals, and sometimes the ones they don't have mobility. They bring sometimes the water to these residents, and they provide the services that the county has for the individuals. And they mention then the list of shelters, the list of areas that have water, tarps, food, because there are sometimes areas that full neighborhoods lose service. And during Helene and Milton last year, we have here in this county that we were severely affected, over 10 neighborhoods. They completely lost power for more than 1 week until service are restarted. So these centers, that the distribution centers that the county has during this recovery, are the ones that are helping. Non-profit organizations do as well. So everybody comes together to help the neighbors. They don't care who are you, where we are. Everybody came together to rebuild and start. A lot of people has the sad experience to say this is too much work. Sometimes they say this is going to be my last storm. I'm going to move of Florida. That's something that is understandable, and that happened because of the severity of the damage in the area. The first link that you have, the disaster emergency for ready. If you don't have a plan, if you don't have a family plan, nothing like that, this page is very, very useful. Has everything there. So that you can start to do your plan, that you can start to see your communication information assistance before, after, during, and there are a few of the information that you can register through receive information to media and to radio are those as well. And of course, the disaster preparedness that IFAS has as well is there. What links is that, Michelle, for what? For the plans that you can do, the plans, that's the question?
I think there's the first link that you were mentioning,
Yes, it's the
disaster
first
and
one, the
emergencies.
ready ones, the disaster and emergencies, the ones ready. That website for the government has a lot of substantial good information and has all the outline for all the things that we are planning. We don't have a kit, start to say what items we need to start to include in our kit. If we don't know what items are like, Alba mentioned as in the first seminar, are task free to buy for disaster, and now there are all year long. There are there communication plans, know your flood area, your level area of the neighborhood. Everything is there. The links are there.
Okay.
Something I forget to mention is we are helping the individuals, but we are helping as well the producers. We are helping everyone in the county because our reach is a little bigger that county level. So for all the areas that faculty members have here in every extension office, we are working with our culture producers, agriculture producers, horticulture, landscaping, homeowners association, irrigation, with everyone, and even with the county. These informations are sometimes distributed in different languages because of the diverse populations that we have in the county, and the information needs to reach these communities sometimes in the language that they speak and link those together.
And I think one good resource that you guys can have as UF employees is the Florida Storms app and Florida UF Alerts app. Any updates from UF regarding hurricane and how the campus community is going to respond are posted on the main UF website, but also it's fed through you through those emergency apps. So it's always good to kind of have that on your phone and reference that as we're heading into a storm and even during and after a storm.
And they don't only send you notifications about the storm, if are a power outage, if there are gas leaks, if it's a fire, if something like that, any heat advisory, anything that is happening during your area, sometimes even for the zip code that you register, anything that's relevant to your area, you're going to be receiving the information to your cell phone. And sometimes you need to press yes that you receive it. If not, they're going to be calling. When you don't press in your phone yes when you receive the text message, they are calling the number that you registered to trying to acknowledge that you received the information due to the notification importance. It's very, very helpful. It's something that I ask you, please do the register. A lot of people say, what I need to do it. It's no big deal. You will see the need. They are very, very helpful to receive, and check their social media. In the county that you receive, please check the social media page of the government, because everything, there are sometimes new sites for distributions that are open sometimes from one date you need to know where are those, and sometimes they rotate that you know where they are located right now to go to access for distribution of anything that you need.
And the Florida Storms app has a very handy map with evacuation zones, and they even provide you sort of like a list of how to prepare for a storm. So it's a very handy app that we very much recommend you have on your phones.
Yep.
We have one. It says my mortgage company added hazard insurance to my monthly payment. Got to find out what this covers. What is a good source for insurance stuff?
My goodness. For a sometimes a Better Business Bureau website has that information, and that is another one of the ones that you're going to look. Let me look up quickly that you can see the benefits for insurance. Give me a moment, and I'm going to. And I will tell you. Okay, U.S. News World Report is one of the websites that you can start to see about that you can compare the different quotes and you can see how is the coverage and things like that. And choices rate is another comparison tool that you can use to check that one. And sometimes even some financial companies like Experian, they have a few of those comparisons if you are looking for different kinds of those. But those are the ones I can tell you that you can see. Blue tarps
Isn't
on
there
the
like a
roofs.
regulation that if your house floods a certain number of times, you now have to elevate it? Like you essentially have to rebuild it, but elevate it?
That we have seen that in the north area of the state, in the Panhandle. You're going to see that in that area. Yes, I'm not so familiar with that one. But yes, Patricia, it depends of the area. A lot of people that are rebuilding in that area, in the north area, they put the house up. And something that we notice here, because Sarasota, Manatee County, there were a couple of neighborhoods that before last year, they never flowed. Last year, for first time in history, they flowed twice. So a lot of people was looking that, and in Tampa is a neighborhood north to us that always flowed. Everybody in the neighborhood, they were not aware when they bought the houses that was happening that, and a lot of people was looking that how they can reach, but the expenses were outrageous. The houses, no houses has been elevated yet.
Why does it take so long for FEMA, I'm guessing, to respond? We're in the next cycle of hurricane season.
It depends because you're going to see they open response only for every disaster that happens. Right now, they are activating in Texas for what happened in Texas. If something moves to the area, they activate the centers in Florida after the president has declared disaster area. And the county, they link to the county offer them because they usually take county properties to open their centers there, but they need to consider parking and capacity of the county property they have. So takes a couple of days to have those. And even when FEMA has removed, takes time until the county comes to take against control of that property. And sometimes we wish that was a couple of days, take sometimes a couple of weeks. That's happening.
And beyond FEMA, are there other state or government agencies that you could go to for assistance?
At county level, there are some things that happen at nonprofit organizations, a few of those, but the main one that controls and provide everything is FEMA, Patricia. Those are the ones do that one. But it depends of the county that you are released. Like there are certain counties that, for example, that rural areas, a lot of people start say, okay, everything here is in the urban area, and sometimes they don't. The rural area takes longer to access and start to rebuild
Okay.
due to the density of population in those areas sometimes.
Right. I'm not sure if you can answer this one, but if you own a home and you see that some of your landscape, like some of your trees might not look very secure, does the city cover the removal for that, or do you have to pay for the removal of a tree that might be dangerous during a storm?
If you belong to a homeowners association, that is responsibility of the homeowners association. If you don't belong to one of those are at the expenses of the homeowner. And like I mentioned during the presentation last year, we received information for a lot of counties here in Florida that one tree slide down goes to or fell down, and there were people charging a homeowners $10,000 to remove that tree from the property. And there were homeowners, they have 3, 4 trees in the property. They were doing business during the storms. Those companies, they were, wow, charging. That's the reason that you need to see somebody that doesn't going to be fraud. Price gouging, yep, that was happening.
Okay, any more questions or comments or anything else you might want to add, Nelly, before we sign off?
Please be safe. Start to doing, please do your preparation plan. You do your emergency kit. Buy water. Remember that you need to have 1 gallon of water per person per day in your home. Have non-perishable items in your pantry, and hopefully this year nothing is going to reach us here in Florida. Let's keep positive.
Yeah. And if you have pets, make sure you plan for your pets as well. Don't miss
Yeah,
out
I
on.
mentioned that in the first one. Yes, you need to
Yeah,
prepare for babies and pets. Has everything ready.
perfect.
My pleasure. Thank you, you guys. Yes, manual can opener. Yep, that is part of your kit. Thank you, Michelle. Christine, my pleasure.
Does it do any good to report price gouging?
Yes, that needs to be reported, please, because it's how sometimes the county is how a lot of people code enforcement knows what is happening and can go sometimes to stop these in certain areas.
Okay, so I don't see any other questions coming through. So with that, we'll go ahead and close this one. Thank you so much, Nelly. We appreciate
My
all the
pleasure.
information you've provided to us. This has been a wonderful 3 series. And also thank you to Dr. Lindsay for her information that she provided to us in the last webinar. And thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you all.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you.